Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of This Is Us, Season 6, Episode 2. We are taking one giant leap into the episode titled One Giant Leap, and this was a really, really good episode. I'm feeling very fulfilled after watching it.
This was a fantastic episode. They hit on some very real conversations that people out there have. And, they gave us a really big reveal.
Yeah,
We've been talking about who is Nikki married to
yeah,
for so long now. And there's been tons of theories that it's Sally, that's Cassie, that it's somebody else. Like, we actually have an answer now. Like, I'm really glad that This Is Us is not holding back early on. I kind of thought we were going to get like a whole bunch
yeah.
of reveals at the end, but they're sprinkling them out.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much.
Me
We will
too.
talk all about Nikki, Deja, all the big events of this episode. But before we do dive in, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now? Because after every episode, we are here
Yeah.
with you. We all feel all the feels together. This is a very emotional show. We really appreciate you guys being a part of our This Is Us family.
Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We took our dog this weekend to go get a haircut.
Yeah.
She's looking fresh to death. She's looking good. She's feeling good. We have a little before and after going on over there. So, yeah, check that out.
Okay, let's just get right away into Nikki and everything that I think everybody is going to be like losing their minds about, including us.
Remember the conversations we all had with
Yeah,
you guys and you guys had with us about who is in the car in the 10-year in the future timeline? We saw that car pull up.
yeah,
I thought it was maybe Kate. I think you mentioned it might be Malik.
yeah.
We didn't really know. We all had our theories. You guys had your theories. Here it is. Who is in the car? It's Nikki's wife.
I love this with Dan Fogelman just being like, you guys thought you had
I
me
know.
figured out. And we didn't get a lot of Edie in this episode, but I love still how she was introduced. I love the moment in the flash forward. Like she seems just like a very she seems like a very perfect person for Nikki. There's like that kindness there. They had like an instant sort of back and forth rapport and chemistry.
Listen, the person in me that loves love wanted to see him end up with Sally before I met Sally. And I really liked Sally, but I really liked seeing Nikki get closure on it even more than I think I would have loved him seeing him with Sally. Like, we met her, she was very nice. He remembered everything
Yeah.
about the relationship, even what she was wearing. She just didn't remember him, and she didn't remember everything. It was sort of, he had to jog her memory, and she's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I think I remember some of those things. And he was getting very graphic with some of the stuff where he's like, you deflowered me in
Yeah.
front of her husband, who is basically Nikki. That was a very purposeful casting, if you ask me. He looks like Nikki. He kind of acts like Nikki, a little curmudgeon-y.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you ended up marrying Nikki, except this guy doesn't seem to be treating her that well. Their
No.
relationship is just kind of, they're together, but not really.
Yeah, and I feel like that sort of dichotomy of like, okay, here's the guy who kind of looks like Nikki versus the real Nikki, and you see the differences,
Hmm.
both especially with their personality. I think that was so valuable, and in general, I Nikki's probably one of my favorite characters on the entire show, and to me, I think a big reason why is you look at people like Randall, or you even look at somebody like Kevin, who obviously still has his fair share of demons, but he is still really successful. He's figured out certain parts of his life to a certain extent. And Nikki's just somebody who is just so lost. And I think creatively to me, there's something really exciting about someone who just doesn't know who they are or where they're going, or they're just so intent on reliving like that tiny smidgen of happiness and hope that they're willing to go to these great lengths. And I think having this reunion was so beautiful and then also so heartbreaking. I mean, even just the moment when Sally has to introduce her husband to Nikki's initial reaction to that was, All right, well, we gotta get back on the road now. We will see you later. It's like he doesn't always know what to say, and I kind of appreciate that about him.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, Nikki has been really holding on to this moment for 50 years.
Yeah,
And during that time, I mean, we don't know how many opportunities to find other love have come and gone because he's been holding on to this and pining away over sort of a memory. He doesn't know her anymore.
yeah,
It's so far past. Like she's married, moved on, all these different things. It's just this needed to happen. And like I said, I was
yeah,
one of the people that was kind of like, man, I'd really hope he ends up with Sally after all this time. That wouldn't it be so
yeah.
nice? But at the same time, this show is very based in reality for a lot of stuff, which I think is what a lot of us appreciate about this show. It doesn't always get that happy
Yeah.
ending with the bow on it. So Nikki ending up with Sally would have been nice,
Yeah.
but not necessarily satisfying to me because this show is so rooted in reality. This happens in reality, sure, but it is very rare.
It just to draw a parallel with Kevin, I think it's the same sort of feeling I have with Kevin and Madison right now, where I'm really rooting for the two of them because it seems like a natural kind of evolution, and I kind of moved away from rooting from Kevin and Sophie, which I was for a certain period of time, but that is sort of the relationship that's in the past over there. And I think for Nikki, I think it was important for him to be able to have the moments that he had, awkward as they may be at times, and just sort of realize, okay, this is my life now. This is her life now. I'm glad we had this moment, and I feel like actually fulfilled. Like, I think I saw Nikki smile more at just over the course of this whole event more than I have in this entire show.
Seeing him see this picture on her sort of memory board
Yeah.
of the back of his head where he's like, man, I actually am still there, because you could see he was getting really like hurt every
Hmm.
time he was like, you don't remember me, we worked together, like you were the first person I was with, like I'm just that kind of forgettable. For him to see that picture and be like, okay, you know what, I am actually still around somehow in her life, I'm not just a forgettable person, that he felt like, I feel good now. Like I'm okay to walk away from this. It was more of the unknown about it all. And now he knows that that last sort of moment where he was just like, oh, it's a full moon, goodbye, giving her the kiss on the cheek, getting on the plane, or getting in the car to go back. I was like, oh man, like he really feels like he's turned a corner. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see it for this character because he has been through it.
And there's a lot of people who don't have that opportunity.
No, they don't.
They just carry that with them for the
Mm.
rest of their lives, and that's a really, really hard thing. And okay, Nikki, there is one question that I have for you, and this is why lie about not being in contact with her in the first place? Were you afraid that ultimately Becca and Miguel, you think that's it?
Yeah, he was afraid. He was afraid to get in contact with her. I think he was afraid to tell them that he, chickened out and that he wasn't able to do it. That's what I think. But it was good at the end to see him be more confident with them. We started the episode where he was really afraid of everything.
Yeah.
At the end, when he walked up to Rebecca and Miguel and was like, I'm leaving. Kevin's about to break ground on the cabin.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, here we go. So this is all kind of happening. And he's like, I'm going back to the East Coast. I want to make sure that my nephew doesn't screw it up. And
Yeah.
I think Nikki ends up living in the smaller cabin. I've said that before. I'll say
Yeah.
it again. I think that he lives beside him with his wife. That's what I think is happening. But it was nice to see him still care so much about Kevin. Be like, I'm going out there. And then he meets his wife, his future wife.
I hope we see more of Nikki and Edie. Like this is my only fear coming out of this, that it's sort of like, okay, Nikki's story is in some ways tied up now because we know who he's with in the future, but I kind of want to see what that relationship is like. Like if he's living in that smaller cabin, is she still, working as a flight attendant and going back and forth, and he doesn't get to see her? Judging from that conversation where he was
Yeah.
like, I missed her, it
Yeah.
seems like that's the case.
Yeah, it feels like he he met this stewardess, he's flirting, it turns into a marriage. Yeah, him saying, I really missed you, it's good to see you back, sort of thing, feels like she is still working at this point.
I feel like there are a lot of flight attendants all around the country right now who saw this interaction and were probably like, I wish someone, when they were like arguing with me over the rules, was anywhere near this nice or as charming, as opposed to like throwing something or screaming.
Okay, let's talk about Rebecca, because this is the first time that I can remember that she has actually said what's happening to her, what the diagnosis is. She's said all kinds of sort of other things. It's like a plaque's build up. There's this, there's that. I haven't heard her say the words, it's Alzheimer's. And I know that we've all kind of been like, oh, maybe it's dementia, maybe it's Alzheimer's, maybe it's something else is happening. We just don't know. Now we know it's Alzheimer's.
I think it's a really important revelation that we have out there. And I think the way that it was sort of handled in that conversation was really, really great, because at first, Sally's reaction is to take it as, oh, was I, talking light about Alzheimer's and offending you, and that's why you said that, and she's immediately apologetic, but that's not really fully what the conversation is about. And, these two women actually take this as an opportunity to sort of connect and talk a little bit more about what Rebecca's life is like and some of the things she's just struggling with, like day to day, like the little things that everyone can relate to on some level.
That conversation that Sally and Rebecca had is one of my all-time favorite moments of this entire series.
Wow.
It is a conversation that is almost never spoken about on TV, in movies. People don't really, I guess, maybe want to talk about this, but the idea that, or the thing that a lot of women that are growing older feel, and sort of having to deal with what the expectations are, that being young, being beautiful, that those are the only sort of acceptable forms of beauty, or what, could be lovable, or those types of things. That's you at your best. That as you grow older, they're having this conversation. Oh man, I still dye my hair all the time. Or, oh, my friend stopped and she feels liberated. And you've got Rebecca being like, BS, I don't believe it, because it's true. And then you have this, revelation from her too, where she's like, oh man, I was taking these salsa classes. I'm a bit older. Some of the younger people are like, hey, good for you. Older lady getting back in there. And she was like, oh man, I started wearing a scarf and covering up kind of my wrinkles and stuff. It is a very honest conversation about getting older as a woman with these two women. And I can't thank the show enough for bringing that conversation. I mean, I'm going to be 47 next month. I'm not as old as them, but I'm rounding 50, I have to dye my hair. My hair is not this color. It is gray. So these types of things are very like, hush, hush. Don't talk about it. Just continue to try to be as young as you can be for as long as you can be, no matter what. And it's a really heavy pressure. So thank you very much, This Is Us, for actually having that talk.
I think it was really well written. I think it was really informative too for just the character of Rebecca. And I think it's sort of foreshadowing a little bit these sort of big stories for her and Miguel that are going to be coming up, because we've heard already that there is finally supposedly going to be the big Rebecca and Miguel sort of history episode where we start to understand them a little bit more. But I think this mindset, I think it greatly informs, where she is right now with Miguel and her relationship. She's getting older. She's struggling with Alzheimer's. And yet, she's got all these fears that are associated with this relationship as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had some sort of flashbacks for her, remembering what she feels is her at her best. She has that conversation with Miguel in the car.
No.
So touching, where he's just like, for better or for worse, we are together. Like, you are perfect as you are. Like, you don't need to hide this stuff. Like, you are, my love, sort of thing. And it's just, I know not everyone loves that idea that they're together, but I truly do. I think when they were all driving together and Rebecca's kind of like, oh, Jack's looking down at us now. I think he'd be really happy that we've all connected and we're all together kind of thing. And I think she is correct.
And I love how Nikki even sort of brought that back a little bit closer to the end of the episode and talking about him. Like, I think she was very aware of, who Jack is, but also who she is and who Miguel is. And that whole conversation with her and Miguel, I'm looking to all you Miguel haters out there. How can you guys dislike this man at this point? Like, do we need to have a TED Talk outside of your home where I'm there with a megaphone yelling that Miguel is great? Because all of that stuff was really, really great. And I think just to have that depth of their relationship and to show that he wants to be there for her, it makes me all the more upset about the fact that we have not seen Miguel in the future, and I am terrified what that means.
It really broke my heart when she said, I wonder what my last memory is going to be. And this show is all about memories. Like, it is about the present, but we flash back into their memories all the time. And it has always felt like a lot of this is from Rebecca's perspective, that it's almost like this is Rebecca telling this story of what's happened with her kids, what happened with Jack, what's happening with Miguel and, in the present, and sort of all of these things. So when she was like, I just don't know what my last memory is going to be, I was like, oh, we all know.
I think I'm gonna, it's not that bold a prediction, but I'm gonna shoot my shot here and say that I think the final scene of this show is gonna be just Rebecca and Jack, and I think that's gonna sort of represent the final memory, and then that's gonna be it.
I think the final moment is absolutely going to involve Jack, but I actually think that the show's final memory for her is going to be Jack and her kids. I think it's going to be all of them, all 5 of them. They're going to be part of it.
All right, well, let's get now into Malik and Deja, because I really love Malik and Deja too. Like, this is why this episode's so good. They give us a lot of just high quality characters, and I think what they captured so well in this storyline is that essence and that uncertainty of young love, especially when someone has gone away from the other person and they're used to being together, and then your head fills with all of these insecurities. And I think for Deja, so much of it is, okay, is Malik moved on? Does he have new friends? Does he have new people in his life? Is he going to end up leaving for this, that, or the other reason? And that sort of fear and that paranoia can just drive you crazy.
Yeah. And then Jennifer is back in Malik's life because they have a child together. And we even saw when he was like, listen, I'm going to have my kid go off with Jennifer because, she's offered to take him so that, we can be together and spend time together. And it's time for you to meet Jennifer. I was like, that is a really good thing that Malik is doing, that he doesn't want Deja to feel worried about anything. And I think him doing that shows, again, this maturity about him, where he's kind of like, hey, if you're going to be with me, you need to know everyone that's in the life so that you feel comfortable about it. And we even saw, Jennifer's giving a little attitude. Deja didn't really know what to do. She's looking around the apartment. She sees like 2 more coffee cups, getting really kind of nervous about stuff.
I just think it really helps that Malik is so emotionally mature for his age, and maybe some of that just comes down to being a young father. But I think, him and Deja are a good match because Deja's gone through a lot too, and I think they have both overcome a lot of different things. They understand each other really well. My favorite moment of the entire storyline for them is Malik saying that you look incandescent. Well, like, what an amazing word. Like, what that is.
I love that she called him. I was like, okay, college boy.
Okay, you know what? I give you an A+ for your romantic vocabulary, Malik. You made millions of people, including quite possibly myself, swoon at the incandescent line.
I love how much Deja has become like her dad, Randall. Like, there's such a giving nature with Randall. Sometimes he gives too much of himself and not enough back into himself. Deja gives of herself. Like, she sees that her man needs to finish his paper. She's, sat on this bus for hours to get up there, and she's still like, go work on your paper. I will still be here. I know we have a short amount of time, but basically we have our whole lives. So you know what? Take your time to do your paper. And he's just like, oh man, thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was so nice.
I just like that we started in such an uncertain place with the two of them, but then I think we end up with, the two of them are together. They have this really just powerful moment. And, Deja even calls the whole experience of life changing in that text at
Yes.
the end. Like they're in such a better place at the end of this.
Yes, they decide that they're gonna be together intimately, which is
Yeah.
something that she hadn't done before, and it brought them closer together in their relationship and deeper in their love. And even when she got the text message from dad, I was like, oh, for a long time, of
Yeah.
course, we know she didn't call him that. She called him Randall, and to see dad on the phone, I was like,
Okay, here's the thing. I want to believe in all good things because this show gave us such great stuff with Rebecca and Miguel, and they gave us great stuff with Deja and Malik. But we
no, no,
haven't
no, no,
seen
no.
Malik in the flash forwards yet, and I'm going to assume we're probably not going to get both of those guys there. I think Miguel may unfortunately have passed by that
I
point.
think he's passed.
But I think that Malika is there. I
think so,
believe in
too.
the two of them, and just they this character is so wonderful. I will be straight up mad if he's not there. Like seriously.
No, I think they're still there. I think that, we've had so many other sort of changes and surprises of sort of is, Kevin gonna end up with Sophie? Maybe. Probably not,
Yeah.
because this show ends up not really doing that. We have Kate and Toby. Are they together? Looks like 5 years later she's gonna be marrying somebody else.
Yeah.
Things do change. We all thought maybe Nikki'd end up with Sally. Nope. It's Edie, and he's extremely happy.
Yeah.
So, we're happy for him. Can we just get one couple together where we're just like, man, they made it?
Well, look, you said it.
Besides Randall and Beth.
Well, here's the thing, though. You said a minute ago, talking a little bit about Randall, how Deja's becoming more like Randall.
That's
Maybe Deja will be like Randall, and that Randall, I know he didn't meet, Beth as early as Deja met
No,
Malik, but they
no.
met fairly early, and
Yes.
they have been together for a very long time. Maybe
Yes.
Deja and Malik can have the same exact thing.
That'd be great.
Okay, well, our hearts are full. We are very, very happy, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And of course, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you here next time.